Welcome to this Shizu ASMR video, and I will be reading to you today Sword Art Online, Chapter 16.5. Asuna plopped down naked on the sofa and glared defiantly at me. Kirito, hurry up and take your clothes off, she said in an authoritative tone. What? We're continuing? It would be stupid if we stopped here. I hurriedly complied. Opening the window indicated by Asuna, I toggled off the option buried deep within the menu. Because of the hurried start, there was no romantic mood to speak of. Sitting on the bed, which was slightly too small for the two of us, we slowly did as much as the system would allow. The dim blue moonlight filtered through the window, casting complex shadows on the bed. Since Salemburg has no marketplace, the townspeople disappear at night. The only thing I could hear was the faint whispering of the lake and my alarm-like heartbeat, which seems to echo around the room. By this time, Asuna and I had removed all of our clothing. We had been kneeling on the bed in front of one another for about 2.5 minutes. I couldn't read Asuna's expression as she balled her fists on her knees and looked down. I thought that I should probably be the one to take the first action in this situation, but not being able to predict the outcomes of any of my choices, I sat in petrified silence. I considered what would happen if I were to yell out, "Sorry," and re-equipped minimal clothing at Mach speed before escaping out of the room. Would she say, "I guess it can't be helped," and forgive me when we meet again tomorrow? There's no way she would. Remembering back to the distant past, I was only 14 the first time that I ever logged into SAO, the winter of 8th grade. I don't want to recall how I was at the time, but I sacrificed all of the sexual energy that starts to awaken in all boys around that age in order to immerse myself into games. As a result, I had never been in a situation where I would be alone with a girl in a room. Obviously, I had never been naked with a girl before. To tell the truth, I would have liked for Asuna, who I thought was probably a few years older than me and thus had expertise in this area, to take the lead. However, it seemed that everyone in SAO, including her, viewed me being older than I really was. Since I had never denied any of it, there was no way I could say to her in this situation, "Sorry, but I'm actually..." I strengthened my resolve. Even if I didn't have the knowledge or the experience, I had never loved or had felt such intense feelings for someone like I have for Asuna. Ever since SAO started, there were numerous times when I was in a situation where I told myself, "Can't run away from here no matter what." But here I had to muster up greater willpower as I extended my right hand and moved my body forward. My fingertips softly touched the gentle curve that was Asuna's shoulder. Her body quivered sharply. I slowly traced a path from the line of her collarbone to the nape of her neck. Asuna let out a soft moan as her eyes closed. The blood rushed to her cheeks and her eyebrows furrowed. For some time I watched Asuna's response in secret delight as I touched her all over the place. Slightly excited by her fresh reactions, I went a bit overboard as I kept my fingertip at a point where I was just barely touching her and continued to slowly glide across her skin. I crawled down her arms, which were firmly hiding both breasts, circled around her stomach, and reversed direction up to her arms again. Every time my finger moved, Asuna's body would shake and a soft moan would leak out. After caressing her entire body, I put my right hand's finger under her small chin and lifted her head up. With my left index finger, I diligently traced her wet, shining, cherry-colored lips. No, not just your finger. Softly blushing, Asuna opened her eyes slightly and looked at me pleadingly. Kiss me. I slightly moved my face closer. Asuna's lips parted slightly as if they could not wait any longer, but instead of fastening our lips together, I slowly poked her lower lip with the tip of my tongue. As if seeking me out, Asuna stuck out her tongue, but I restrained myself and moved to avoid her before slowly touching her with the tip of my tongue. Ah, ah. Asuna let out an irritated sound of both anticipation and need as I abruptly plunged my tongue into her mouth. I violently swished my tongue around. The tactile senses in SAO are, just like the sense of taste, pre-programmed and activated in accordance to the situation. When you consider this, then the only conclusion that one can draw is that the feeling of a deep kiss must have been programmed in. Well, it's not like I've ever really experienced that in real life, but an indescribably bewitching feeling assaulted my nerves. My tongue entwined Asuna's, and I forcefully sucked on it as I felt all the strength go out of her body. Her eyes were moist and dim, and she was breathing erratically as I took my tongue out of her mouth and proceeded to lick down her neck, behind her ear, and the hollow of her collarbones. When he eventually reached the soft valleys that were the top of her breast, which had been hidden up until now, her whole body leapt and twitched. Her arms gripped tighter together and she shook her head from side to side. Asuna, move your arms. But I want to see your breasts, Asuna. I caught her wrists, which were crossed together, and pulled them apart as I slowly licked and sucked my way toward the peak of the white breast that was gradually being revealed. No. Asuna's arms were finally at her sides, and then her twin peaks were revealed to my eyes. The swells, which were usually hidden by those loose-fitting knight's clothing and breastplate, were bigger than I had imagined, full and protruding sharply forward. At their tips were a pair of nipples, which were difficult to distinguish from the surrounding area, standing impertinently in a cone-shaped form. Regrettably, the entire room was currently bathed in the blue glow of the moonlight, and Asuna, turn on the light. What? No, don't. Having accepted the rejection of my request, I sucked her left nipple into my mouth. Ignoring the shrill voice that Asuna let out, the sudden attack, I chewed on the hard nub with my lips. My tongue rolled around the stiff lip